that either would violate our policies or might not be fit for young children or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I want to throw in another one from the thread really quickly, Mark. It comes from Rex Lue, and he's asking, out of curiosity, who is your favorite scientist and why?
Do I only get one?
We can expand.
All right, well, here. It's got to be Maxwell, right? James Maxwell. And the reason is, so in the 1860s, this physicist, James Maxwell, wrote the unified theory of all electromagnetism. And so much of the modern world that we have comes from his work. Right? I mean, everything that you use that's electronics, everything that is kind of sending a signal to communicate wirelessly over the air, that's him. Right? And the work that he did, and simply, if you care about the internet and you care about communication and you like the modern world that we live in, then you kind of need to be thankful for James Maxwell every day. And I think out of the great physicists, he is probably one of the least appreciated, and I think that he deserves that. But there's an important lesson here, I think, which is that his work took 50, 100 years to really have a major impact on the world. And that's a pretty common thing in basic science. And it makes me wonder to some degree if we are ambitious enough as a society today around what the scientific goals that we have for the next generation. Because the basic science that we do today is not going to have an applied effect on our world in the very near term. But you look at things like I spend some time thinking about disease, right? And as a society, we only really started trying to cure all the diseases about 200 years ago, right? And technology has accelerated, and we've gotten a lot better. So there's a question of okay, in 50 or 100 years, should we be able to cure all the things that people die from? Probably, right? I think we can. I think we have a good shot at it. And if we can, and we have the ability to do that, then don't we kind of have a responsibility to focus on that a bit more? We spend as a society 50 times more money on healthcare, treating people who are sick today, than we spend trying to cure the diseases in the first place so that people don't even get sick. Right? So, and if you believed that people were always going to get sick, then maybe that's a right balance, right? And that's fine. But if you actually believed that in our children's time, or their children's time, there was actually the ability to make basic advances in science that could cure those diseases, then I kind of think we have a responsibility to do more there. And I think Maxwell shows that it's not, he figured this out, the electromagnetic theory, and it took a while before that really shaped the world. If we have time for another, there are other scientists who I think are worthy as well. One of my favorite stories is there was this man who grew up in India named Srinivasa Ramanujan. And he grew up, he was poor. He didn't have access to the internet. There wasn't the internet at the time. He didn't have any formal education. But somehow he managed to get a book. He got a math textbook. And it didn't cover all math. It just covered a part. But that textbook was enough for him to basically figure out all of modern mathematics that had existed at that time and push the field forward. And so I kind of think about this, and what would have happened if he'd had access to the internet? Right? I mean, how much better, if we'd invested in that kind of infrastructure and connectivity, how much better off would the world be? And then you kind of think today, well, more than half of people in the world don't have access to the internet. Right? And that's why, at Facebook, we're working on projects like internet.org to try to make it so that every single person has access to the internet. I mean, how many more Ramanujans are out there who could deliver really amazing things for the whole world if they had access to that kind of infrastructure, and if we as a society invested in that? So, I don't know, this is something that I feel really strongly about. And